2 o'clock. Participants are entering on in. All right, folks. Well, welcome to the jungle. Holy freaking cow. I think we got about 145, 155. This
They
thing's
are
going up and
rolling
down.
in hot.
Yeah, look at that. It's
Quick.
going up and down like the stock market today, right? We almost 200 folks joining us for the Snow and Tell webinar. Super excited about having so many of you guys on today. Not gonna lie, super excited to be here. Also a little nervous, a little anxious. There's so many folks piling into this thing. We hope to make you guys proud today. We've got a full lineup for the whole week, so we're gonna jump on into it. Before we go too far down the path here, just give you guys a little bit of a macro. My name is Brian Fullerton. I run a company called Brian's Law Maintenance up here in the greater Brighton, Wixom, Novi, New Hudson, Michigan area, just west of Detroit. So super excited to host this thing for you guys all week. You'll probably hear me ad-libbing a little bit this week, introducing our speakers. We got a power pack lineup. There's going to be a lot of moving parts and not a lot of time to do it. We want to be super respectful of your guys' time, joining us each day for about an hour from 2 to 3. And the whole conversation this week is about snow. All right, so we're really excited about that. The weather is dipping over here in Michigan real time. Our guest, Sam Gembel, is over here in Michigan as well. It's leaf cleanup season and then it's snow season. But right now, the whole talk, as you guys can imagine, is all about snow. So we're really excited about having all of you guys in. We're going to get through a lot of slides today, a lot of education. We're going to have a Q&A, a lot of moving parts today. So we're really pumped to have you guys. Just quick story. I got to share this funny one. I was getting ready to go about a half an hour ago, and I even gelled the hair for you guys, and I totally respect this room and this environment, everybody that's joining on in today. And about a half hour ago, as I'm gelling the hair, I ended up spraying my cologne on myself. And my wife looks at me. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I got the webinar in half an hour." And she goes, "You know it's a webinar, right? Like they can't smell you." And I'm like, "Oh gosh." So in true Brian's Law Maintenance fashion, over preparing because he wants to do a good job for all of you guys. I smell good. I don't know if that translates to the Zoom, but nonetheless, it's going to be a really good time today, and I'm absolutely looking forward to everything that we got going on. Today, we're going to be talking about story, strategy, success. I know a lot of the folks are going to be joining us on the webinar this week. Their snow business is up big time. Some of the folks have told me off the record that their snow business is up 7 figures. And so you guys are going to be learning from some of the best this whole week. Let's do this really quick. As we go through here, just so you guys know, maybe this is your first LMN Granum webinar or event. This is not a pitch for LMN. This is not a pitch for Greenius. Great products, awesome software. It's not going to be about that necessarily today. Okay, some of the folks that are on, most of them are LMN users, but just so you guys know, there's no pitch. Sit back, relax. Nobody's going to have their trench coat at the end of the webinar saying, "Hey, use our code." Okay, it's not that kind of event today. All things being
I'm
said,
out of here. What the heck, dude? I'm out. I'm leaving.
yeah, Sam's already out. Yeah, there, Sam goes. Are we on the same agenda today? So, so today, day one, and then I'm going to quickly pivot and kick this off to Jason and Sam. But today is number one. It's all about snow sales and pricing, and I think this is where the foundation of the snow pyramid is going to land. And you got to have a proof of concept. You got to have a business that can work, that you can replicate, duplicate. And both of these guys are going to be leading off today's discussion. So very, very excited about that. I'll just do a quick little 1 minute on both of these guys and we'll let them introduce themselves more. But if you guys know Sam Gembel, he's got a phenomenal business, Atlas Outdoor over in Flint, Michigan. Those guys are jamming. They just opened up their second branch in Novi, Michigan. He's been all over the speaking circuit, all across town. And Sam has a heart to help people in this business and in the industry. So we're really excited and honored to have Sam in today. And then Jason, same deal. Jason was actually one of the first folks that I got to meet up in Markham to actually sign up with LMN about 18 months ago. And so without Jason's help and the rest of the LMN team, I don't know if my business would look like what it does today in a good way. And so I'm very, very grateful for Jason's mentorship and everything that Jason does at the mothership there at LMN Granum. So excited to have both these guys on. But folks, I'm just hosting today. I got the easy job. I'm going to kick it over to Sam and Jason. They're on deck. Let's do this really quick. Sam, you want to take it away, brother? Give a little bit more of your background, and then we'll dive on into this thing today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to be chosen as the first person to kick this off. But a little bit about me for those that don't know: Sam Gimbel, owner and founder of Atlas Outdoor, headquartered in Flint, Michigan. A little bit of a claim to fame. Started the company in the driveway in 2011. Actually June of 2011, doing landscaping. The name Outdoor was actually because we would do anything outdoor that would make us money. Snow was kind of started as a way to keep our team employed during the wintertime. And that quickly we kind of realized like, actually we're pretty darn good at this. And so a little bit kind of the first 5 year backstory. Business started June 2011, went on to grow about $1 million a year for the first 5 years in business, only before we realized that the only system that we had in the business was that there was no systems. And so, kind of fast forward to today, as Brian mentioned, we opened our second location last year. We've got about 115 team members. That number goes up a little bit in the wintertime, including service partners, just people that we kind of do business with. Snow and ice now happens to be about a third of our business. It's encroaching on more like the 40% side. I think we're pretty darn good at it. And it actually is our most profitable department. I've made a lot of mistakes growing it, and it's an honor to get to share that with you all today.
Awesome. Jason, what's your background, brother?
Awesome. Yeah, I've been with LMN for almost 10 years now. So, funny story. I mean, my background's in business and finance. Third day at LMN, I was helping people doing budget reviews, and I was just doing some budget reviews with people Friday at Equip too. So, 10 years later, I've had a number of different roles here at LMN on the customer facing side, and just love helping people get the most out of their account and what that means for their business and their community.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to yield this rest of the time for the most part to Sam and Jason. But as you guys already have, let's do a little roll call. Throw it in the comments section, the chat, where you guys are from, any questions that you guys might have. We got some great folks from the Element team. They're going to be moderating and answering questions that you guys have. I know Jason and Sam can go back and forth in that chat as well. But throw it down in the comments. Holy cow. When we ask, you guys show up. Another 20, 30 comments right off the rip. Connecticut, Michigan, Wisconsin. It's crazy what we can do with the internet. Everybody all over the country, probably every state in the union joining us today, Sam. So no pressure, but nonetheless, we're going to jump on into it today. Mr. Gembel, take it away, brother.
I will start us off here. Opening slide. The struggle is real. I think that this is probably one of the most common questions that I get as a thought leader is, how do you find people that handle the wintertime? How do you budget between buying equipment for the wintertime only, but also something that can serve you in your businesses for, 12 months of the year? Don't even get me started on the commodities like salt shortages, things like that. Um, Customer expectations. You can make your best lawn and landscape customer your worst enemy in about 15 minutes. In the summertime, you get a few days if somebody's grass doesn't get cut or maybe the weeds got a little bit not maintained. You can just go out there the next day. You don't get that luxury in the wintertime. Insurance is crazy expensive for those of you that are watching this. If you're not in the snow game, I encourage you to look at your LMN budget and check that out and make sure that it makes sense for you. But also just being available 24/7, in the wintertime versus the summertime, sleep is a little bit more available for when you need it. So I will tell you right now, one of the things that I've learned is that the snow game is like not for the faint of heart. With all the headaches that we have to deal with, everything, from all that, like, does it make sense for you to get into the snow game? If you're in the snow game, is it making sense from a budget standpoint to stay in the snow game? But here's something that I've learned, not just for my own business, but also for hundreds and thousands of others that I've had the ability to connect with throughout the years, that the ones that have figured that out, they have built some of the most profitable, most systematized organizations in the industry. So today, I want to make sure as we're kind of unpacking the journey, everything that I'm going to share, Jason's going to share with this background. This isn't coming from theory. This is something for what the industry actually looks like. These are thoughts right from the field. Because if you get snow right, I'm telling you, some of the best champions are cultivated in that 4 to 5 month part of the year. Snow can create cash flow in some of your worst times. It creates stability for your team. And honestly, it gives you control when everything else is kind of shutting down. So,
Depending on where you're from too. I mean, it can be the difference of laying people off in the winter and like having steady employment. So I know stick around for day two tomorrow. They'll talk about people a bit more there. Today, we're going to focus on the sales side, and we've got three keys to success in snow. It's this easy, right, Sam?
It is. If you can just figure out what your costs are, if you can figure out what to charge and you could just be the most efficient, we don't even need a whole week of webinars. We can honestly just figure these three things out in the next few minutes and everybody will be successful. So,
Yeah, webinar's over. No, just kidding. Stick on that. But yeah, this makes it look really easy. But the truth is, yes, having a plan in place for all these things is truly what's going to drive things forward. Um, So, Sam mentioned, like, is it worthwhile? Obviously, if you're doing things right, snow can be very profitable, right? If you're setting sales goals, if you know how to keep your, best staff around, you're investing in equipment, you have a plan for salt. You're not waiting until I heard a story at Equip, some companies looking for salt this late in the season, right? It's tough. If you've got a plan for all these things, snow can definitely be a very profitable business to be in. And today, we're going to spend some time on the sales aspect of it, going through the sales funnel, how to set a target, um, how to determine what that target should be. Like, what do how do you set a revenue target for something in your snow business? Creating a bulletproof sales process, right? If you're just waiting for leads to come to you, that's not the right action to be taking. So we're going to go through from start to finish, lead to execute, as you see on like the funnel here, and just what some practical tips that you can take through every stage of the funnel here.
I like it. And I'll kind of jump onto that there. When people ask, is the snow side worth it, as we're talking, kind of getting into the leads there, like it's super important. And this is no plug, for LMN, but we'll make it a plug for LMN to just really understand, what your costs are before the leads even all that even matter. I mean, you gotta kind of jump and get your wings on the way down is the way I kind of look at snow and ice management. But thankfully there are so many resources out there, including obviously what we're going to talk about today to hopefully people can eliminate a few years of bad choices as we kind of dive in. So, oh, you're muted, Jason. Sorry about that.
Well, first up, we got the leads.
Yep.
So, Sam, I guess in your experience, how are you sourcing your leads?
Yeah, for sure. I will say this, that every snow company that would identify as a snow and ice professional, they have some sort of sales funnel that they can rely on, and it's not really knowing. It's not just about getting more leads. It's more about kind of understanding which leads that are worth chasing, because not all leads are a good lead. For us personally, I mean, when our business was just getting started, and obviously this can relate back to, to everybody that's on here. Some people do residential, some people do commercial only, some people do a mix of residential and commercial. And so I think it's important to know how your leads are funneling in. Jason, you nailed it, that if you're just sitting back waiting for the leads to come, then you're probably going to get left out in the cold. And I mean that with the pun intended or no pun intended, you're going to get left out in the cold there. But when our business was first getting started, I never really had to market much for the residential side. I'm a firm believer that you go whatever's going to make you the loudest person on the side of a hilltop banging on the drum. And I think that would start more on the commercial side. So, for people don't like to, it's kind of gotten a bad rep for it to think about cold calling when it comes to creating snow leads. But I'm here today to say that it works. And, really just, especially when you're first trying to get started, when you're trying to build up that brand. I mean, marketing is everything, and everything is marketing, and the same thing with branding. And so, people that are trying to generate and build a snow and ice business, it's all about the reputation. It's all about reputation. So the thing is if you don't have any reputable sources to go off of as you're trying to build your snow and ice business, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to get that started there. So, whatever that looks like to get the ball rolling, whether that's trade shows, whether that's, just relying on the referrals, if it's making the cold calls or colding or the stop ins, or maybe you've got some kind of marketing campaign that's working. But here's the thing that I think most people don't realize is that they don't actually know where their leads are coming from. So if you don't know, if you're not measuring, you can't improve what you don't measure. So for us personally, to get the ball rolling, cold was definitely the way that we got started. But once we got a base down from there, it's all about kind of rolling into relying on the referrals. You don't have referrals at first. So if you're watching this and you're kind of new to getting in, you got to get started, and you got to hope that somebody will give you a chance. But you don't go try to land the 1,000-pound gorilla as your first client, because that's probably the quickest way to fail your snow and ice business, if that makes sense.
Hey,
Yeah,
Sam,
those are.
well, I was just going to ask really quick if I can jump in. Sam, it's almost Halloween here on this upcoming Friday, right? Is it too late to start capturing some snow accounts and contracts, residential or commercial? I know a lot of folks have been at snow, since July, August, all that. But are you guys still getting the phone to ring? You guys still getting folks coming through the front door? Where are you guys at and all that?
Yeah, the stuff that's coming in right now, that's a great question, Brian, is that you're learning that it's people who are trying to get the third quote for their maybe to provide for their boss. So it's really important to vet, the work that you're chasing after right now. But I was just looking at our close stuff from last week, and we added about another 200K in new snow work in the last week. So there's
Wow.
definitely stuff that's coming in, but definitely, you want to vet the leads a little more right now. But I do think there's a lot of people that are on the impulse side too, because the thing with snow plowing is it's snow and ice management. It's a very low barrier of entry, but it's also a very, very low barrier of exit. So, people right now are thinking that they've got their site covered, only to learn that the guy who's been doing their snow went out of business. So there's definitely still leads that are coming through the door. Absolutely.
What's your, give me I'm a practical guy. Like, give me your best compelling question or filtering question. What somebody calls Atlas Outdoor today, you happen to take that phone call. Like, yeah, we know we need snow. We probably missed the boat, but can you guys still take us in? Give me one or two things you're going to be asking those folks right up front.
That's awesome. The very, very first question is, what obviously, what happened to the last person that you've been working with? And then it's important to ask that budgetary question. Are you looking for the best price, or are you looking for the best service? And you're going to find most people are going to try to land that kind of right in the middle and say, well, we're kind of looking for a little bit of both. But honestly, it's really important to find out, and then if like, I'm not afraid to ask people like, hey, are you just looking for a third bid? And I joke about this, but I've even said, hey, if you are looking for a third bid, let me know where you want me to come in at to hopefully help you get a better deal from your current guy. And a lot of times when people realize that you are a professional because you're asking those questions, it could be a game changer to add some great new sites into your portfolio, because you should never think and get that pride in your head that, oh, these people aren't really wanting to sign, because you never know. Like, they might meet you and go, man, this is the company that I've been looking for. They were super they were super responsive in my email request or in my phone calls. And so I think, you should at least respond professionally. Don't be an a-hole and think that people are just price shopping or whatever, because you never know when you got a good fish on the line. So
Love that. Love that. Yeah. Oh, Ryan's in here. He says happens all the time when folks go with the low ball guy. Never fails. He doesn't show up. First snowstorm, he's nowhere to be found. So I love that qualifying question. Great job. I love that. I just had to ask a couple questions were coming in related to that. So I'll let you get back to it. But that was one of my personal questions I had as well in today's webinar.
That ties into that concept of spying that we've got on the screen here too. I mean, what we mean by that is really just like keeping an eye out. Like, what are your competitors doing? If you notice properties that aren't being serviced well, take a note of it, follow up with them for the next year, right? Because chances are they probably weren't getting the best service, and maybe that's a sore spot that you can use to jump right in.
Yeah, one of my favorite tactics is after a snowstorm, if the plow is the lot's not plowed by the time we've been through, then somebody's probably late to the game. So I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts, get a half dozen, and walk on in and say, "Hey, just want to drop this off. Figure you're gonna have a tough day. You probably need this because your guy didn't show up for plowing. We're all done, by the way, and it's kind of strange that your guy hasn't been by yet." And they go, "It is kind of strange, isn't it?" And I go,
yep,
"Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but hey, we've got some bench strength. We can still take you guys
so
on and
good.
Sam, you ever get those?
Every snowstorm. We actually, I mean, not to go down too many details, but we actually have a few of our key leaders back, when we were first kind of getting in the snow game, everybody went out full tilt on a snowstorm. But now we actually have a few key leaders that have lighter routes just so they can be those spies that you're talking about, at the end of the storm to see what's kind of going on out there. And I'll add on to the spying as well. Um, it's a good way to learn kind of the expectations of the client too. Like if you always notice a trend that site on Wixom Road is never salted when you're out, that's probably not the kind of customer that you want. So, spying can go two ways. You can learn like, man, that's a ZT site. I'd love to add that to my portfolio. Or man, you know what? If the same guy's been doing it for 4 or 5 years and it's never really, looking that good, don't just blame the contractor. It could be the customer as well. So
Well, so you must got the
Point.
same phone call from the same Arby's, right? No, I'm just kidding.
That's great. That's
That's funny
great.
right there. All right, we'll keep moving. We sat here on the slide for a little bit, but those are some funny stories. I love it.
That's awesome. Um, yeah, and Sam mentioned earlier, tracking referral sources. I mean, especially if you're spending advertising dollars, super important to be tracking, what's coming in from that spend, right? Whether you're using this as a screen from LMN, there's a few of them within LMN that you can use, but whatever your CRM is, make sure that you're tracking these referral sources. So that you know where to invest your money. Super important. And then not just like where referrals are coming in, but the referrals that are part of your ICP. You might hear us talking about ICP, ideal customer profile. Like, what does that look like to you? You obviously want to invest in the sources that are bringing in your ideal customer, whether that's residential, commercial, industrial, what have you. Knowing which sources lead to that person, super important to be able to do. So moving on to the next bucket of the funnel here, Sam, we've got qualify. We kind of touched on this a little bit,
Yeah.
but how are you kind of looking at this internally? Do you segment it at all? We had some questions around commercial versus residential. If you change your approach,
Yeah.
it looks like in the comments. Anything that you can kind of call on there?
Absolutely. And I think that there's two ways to skin the cat on this. Like obviously, when you're thinking about determining whether or not a lead is worth qualifying, if when you're first starting to try to scale your snow and ice business, it's crucial to have some type of a portfolio. It might not be ideal, but as time goes on, it's you if you go right into the game and go, hey, I'm only gonna service medical institutions or hospitals or schools or I'm only gonna service profitable and zero tolerance sites. Um, the thing that I want to make sure you understand is sometimes, that work might be a little bit harder to get at first. And if you are truly relying on the income from snow and ice, then, you might need to lower your standards just a little bit. I'm here to give you permission to lower your standards just a little bit as you're getting started. But then I like to say, look at it like this. After your first year is you're just kind of getting your feet wet. But then from there, it's going to be a little bit stressful because you're going to be running two businesses. You've got the business that you have, but then you've got the business that you want. So you're building two businesses. Hey, I got to maintain these customers, but then I'm also going to start working on building this business out right here. And essentially, after 3 years, after 4 years, you start to kind of scale away from the business that you have and you start working a little bit more on the business that you want. And I like to say it took us really 13 years to be an overnight success with snow and ice, because as we were trying to eliminate more of the customers that we didn't want, or let's just say the snow and ice business that we didn't want, and focus on the business that we do want, it gets easier as you kind of build out that complexity there. But knowing like the liability risk, do I have the proper insurance to be able to service this site? Take a financial institution or a senior living, community, knowing like the level of complexity type of contracts, things like that. I'm a firm believer that the easiest part, and don't take this the wrong way because I love you guys, but the easiest part of being a snow and ice professional is selling the work. The hardest part is actually performing. And I can't tell you the number of times that, I'll respond to a customer lead and I'll go meet with them, and the customer will tell me, all this guy oversalted. He oversalted. And that is the thing. There are companies that are guilty of oversalting, but then what you'll find, and this is what customers will tell you, is that when you're on the other side and the service is actually needed, you find out that snow and ice quote unquote professional, he oversold himself in the bidding season. So now, yeah, he's oversalting because the site didn't need it. But then when you get an ice storm or you get a snowstorm that lasts, 12 to 15 hours, and the contractor hasn't shown up, that's where, the proof, that's where your professionalism actually comes to light. So, just like right here with the sales lead, segmenting the market, what kind of customers do I want? What's the liability risk? Will my insurance company accept these types of clients? These are all important things that you need to be asking yourself as you're trying
or
to grow the business. So,
or what equipment they have access to, right? I mean, depending on the type of equipment you have access to, obviously that's going to change the type of customers that you want to go after.
Well, another thing I was just going to weigh in on, Sam, like you said, I love that you're not just doing a drive-by. Hey, here's a 10 grand quote. The other guy's 9, the other guy's at 11, you're at 10. It's more of like an educated conversation, It's like, hey, what are you guys looking for? What's the budget? What's your level of service? In fact, the other guy that gave you the lower number that we're coming in at, I'll explain exactly what we're making on the site. I'd be more than happy to show you my hands. I don't know how he's coming up with that number. And so if that's the case, either I need to run a better business or he's not telling you something. And then you start getting them to start going, well, I wonder what he didn't tell me, right? Like, is he even
yeah.
insured for a couple of million or 2 million, or depending on his requirements, like Sam said? What's his service interval? Like, is he just brokering out the site on 20%, or is he going to self-perform? And I don't know, do you want a call center or do you want my cell phone number, right?
Mm,
A little bit of a guerrilla warfare there, guerrilla tactics, but that's a great way to, differentiate yourself in that sales process, Sam.
yep.
Love that. Good work. I like it. Where are we going next here, Jason?
So next, yeah, we've got an example here of a snow contract, and as part of like the qualifying stage, um, where additional leads can come in, and equipment actually can tie in, obviously, too. So with this first one, we've got an example of a pickup truck and plow tip contract, one contract, 25,000, one driver, one shoveler, salt, your cost for the season, 12,500, profit for the season, 12,500, if everything goes according to plan, of course. And what that can look like, this is obviously an industrial site. It looks like maybe commercial, with like just looking at different equipment and how that can affect your bids and your profit margins. So, what if we talked about cold calling earlier, might be a little late in the season right now for this particular tactic. But, if we look at that site and look at it from a loader rental, one contract still 25,000, this time using an operator in a loader rental, your cost is higher, profit is lower, but that loader, as we know, is a lot more efficient, right? And what can we do with a more efficient loader in this particular area? So it's, the sales tactic is, looking at your current customers as well. What sites do you have? Is there room to put in some equipment that's maybe larger? Or can you rent something that's a bit larger, like a loader? And what would that actually unlock for you? So it's not just about like the customer that you have, or the customer that you could potentially win, but looking at it holistically and what's around that customer to really unlock, more opportunity. Which, if I move to the next slide, a couple additional points on the map here. Let's say they were all accessible with that loader. Now you've got, what is that, five, four additional, five loader rental, so that loader rental cost is still the same. Obviously, there might be some more fuel and things like that. Now you've got two sidewalk crews, your cost is up to 45,000, but obviously the value in that profit just goes that much higher. So, just another tactic that you can kind of tie into that guerrilla warfare, as you mentioned there, Brian, or cold calling, to get really strategic about the accounts that you're trying to sign up here.
Hey,
Yeah, I'll add on to that too. With this is all the more reason to Jason to know your numbers, because if you think about this, we can overanalyze what the bid and what the software says, because you think about, well, I know I can only sell work at this minimum. Well, if you look at this slide here on the screen, think of these five map dots as one customer. So let's just shrink this down into smaller sites and say you have a quarter ton minimum salt drop. That's the way you build your quotes out. I know that's the way we build our quotes out. We have a quarter ton minimum. Well, you take maybe like an Arby's parking lot. I'm using that as an example just because Brian just mentioned it. But let's just put four
Getting hungry.
small. Let's put four parking lots right in a row that are going to be. Anybody ask me like, hey, what's your ideal snow client, Sam? And it's really anybody that'll let us do what we love to do and we do really well, which is full service, 7 days a week. That's our ideal client. I don't care if that's a McDonald's. I don't care if that's a General Motors. Any client that'll let us do that, that's an ideal snow client for us. But if you take the five and make that two clients or three clients, now you can be a lot more aggressive with your pricing. And everybody wants to talk crap certain times about certain companies and say, oh, they're just a lowball and SOB. But in truth, they probably just know their numbers and they know that they can be a little more aggressive and still hit their gross margin on it. So I have a great story with this exact. Literally, this almost looked like one of our snow maps, and we had a site that we had rented a backhoe for the season, and we were thankful we were able to land the client. We kind of were giving away the snow plowing, but we got done and the site was able to be plowed in about 3 hours. And this is years ago, and we had got a call from one of the nationals about taking on a Lowe's, and it was like, I don't know, 40 or 50 grand for the season. And everybody would be like, I would never take on a Lowe's for 40 or 50 grand for the season, but the loader was already paid for. So literally, we had the bandwidth to be able to add that site on, and then we ended up picking up like a Big Lots right around the corner from that. So that added on too, and the same machine did all three. So it's crucial to know your numbers, but also know production rates on what sites can handle there. So this is one of my favorite examples, Jason, for sure. That's crazy. Somebody said Lowe's are 20K. That's wild, but that's a whole nother webinar we'll do someday. So that's a whole nother episode. We won't go down that rabbit trail on
well,
this one.
let me. I saw that come in. I was like, we all feel you, Justin. No
Please go
comments, no
lower.
names on today. But anyway,
I'm
Sam, let
trying
me.
to not read the comments, and that one was like right on my screen. I couldn't miss it. So
I am.
that was great.
Hey, so Sam, let me ask you this really quick, because you've got a gym in business. I alluded to your snow business is up, 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 big numbers up. You were sharing with me some of the numbers that you need for CapEx expansion. I was like, yep, I don't envy that. I do, but maybe I don't. I don't know yet. But anyway, when you have a site like that, you're just talking about, you got one, and then you got three or four or five around. One of the questions I know we're probably going to get into this week is, prospecting and sales. We're talking about on that lead funnel here a minute ago. If folks are looking to expand, that map to make their business look like that snow map right there, and you guys had one of those situations actually play out, and I'm sure many, many more, how are you getting those adjacent sites? Like, are you just waiting for the Longhorn Steakhouse right next to that Meyer grocery store to come to you, or are you being aggressive and introducing yourself? You're a big fish. You don't need to be out here doing this. You got guys that do this, right? Or are you taking the time to walk over there and introduce yourself and land that account?
100% on the door knock. I mean, that's crucial. You got to go over there, and and knock on the door and stop in and say, "Hey, we're doing the site over here." And people love the passion behind your work. So if you're like, and here's another one. Don't miss this. You're taking notes. Everybody wants to buy, but they don't want to be sold. So if you go in there and say, "Hey, we're already doing the site next door, so I can offer you a discount. I would love to add this beautiful industrial site into my portfolio." Just the reference alone, when I do beautiful, when I take phenomenal care of your property, you're going to be thankful for the investment in us. That customer will be like, man, how do I not sign on with this guy? So there was a point in time where the business was growing faster than we could really keep up with it. So then we would never stop in. I used to, if you listen to some of my talks or webinars like 6, 7 years ago, I would never, I was totally like, we would never cold stop in or anything like that. But now that we're actually wanting to scale and wanting to grow, absolutely, man, that stopping in works. It really does work.
Yeah, what like Clayton with Stuba said, when you have 6, 7 sites nearby, Sam, why not go for 8 or 9, right?
Clayton would say that. I'll talk to him after we're done here. I love you, Clayton.
Clay, you owe me $20. You owe me $20.
Yep,
If
for
you guys
sure.
are 17, just like cringe, all these old guys. But anyway, I love that. I love that. All right, we'll kick it back to you, Jason. This is good stuff. You guys can tell we love having fun. And if any of you guys are out there doing snow, I know you guys are all cowboys and cowgirls at night too. There's nothing better than plowing snow between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. You know what I mean? It's a wild, wild west out there. Stop signs, stop lights, Sam, are those optional? I don't know.
No
What
cop, no cop, no stop, baby.
no cop, no stop. All right, Jason, back to you, brother. There you go.
All right. We gotta keep this plane on track here. I will share, there are some tools within Element, whether you're using Element again or like another CRM, super important that you've got tools that you can use to identify those opportunities, right? Where do you have customers that are maybe a little bit far away from your other customers that you can narrow down your search on with that cold calling, the door knocking, right? Where do you have customers that you could make that route a little bit more dense. So whether you're using Element and you have a screen like this in our analytics or live job map, or another tool, super important resource that you can use to get to that point.
Love it. Love it.
And we'll keep this train going. We're up to fact finding. So super obviously important. Now that you've qualified somebody, you want to start getting some information. What's your go-to here, Sam, if you've got someone qualified in the next
Yeah, for
step?
sure. You've made the decision that this is somebody that I want to work with. These are tried and true facts that work. I think it's crucial to show them pre and post season photo inspections of other sites that you do. So there's programs out there that help with that. I know LMN has some integrations coming that'll be able to do that in the future. Maybe it's already there. I don't know. I don't want to give that away, but show the customers, why you're the expert, why you're the professional. Show them your site damage prevention plan. Show them what your training plan looks like. Obviously, something like Greenius. You bust out your Greenius app and show a customer how you train your team members. Show them how you know to properly bill how you're going to bill them because of the GPS mapping that you have on your invoicing. Show them your transparency, and I'll just say it like that: when a customer can see that you're true, because it's easy to say like, hey, I'm the best, right? But you've got to show them something. And especially if a customer is a higher profile, when you can show them like how professional you are based off of other sites that are similar to theirs, that how you can relate them to you, they honestly will stop negotiating with you and they'll start trusting with you. So I think that transparency is key. And then from there, try to get that all out before you give them the quote, because if you are become the middle pricer, but on in the beginning you're showing them why you're the true professional, and the customer's expectations is that they are that you're going to be the expensive guy just in how well you educated them. But then they get your quote and they're like, well, this guy's similar to price to what I had budgeted for last year. It'll be a slam dunk at that point.
What about just before you kind of get to the quoting stage, like is there any sort of information that you're looking for? Like do you offer maybe different variations of your contracts that you're trying to decide between what's going to be the right fit for that customer? Any type of like contract verbiage that you're trying to figure out ahead of time before you present them with the actual quote? Anything around there?
For sure. That's a good, yeah. I should have been looking at the slides before I answered the question for the bullet points that are on there. But I'm a firm believer that you never want to structure your business to where whatever line of work that is, for the sake of this webinar, we're talking snow. You never want to structure your business to where when it does the type of service that you're the professional of, you'd prefer it doesn't do it. So if you're in the snow and ice business and you build your business out so flat rate contract heavy that you start praying that it doesn't snow, you might want to take a look at that, because you could be setting yourself up. And I know for us, we're we're kind of a higher overhead company, so when in doubt, we always go with the all-inclusive bid first, and then we try to sell on why, hey, you want the same team member year over year. Well, we like to keep our team members employed in the wintertime. Therefore, we need a minimum budget for your snow and ice to be able to guarantee the equipment, to guarantee your team member. And then from there, yeah, I know people like options, but I wouldn't over option yourself, because now if you're starting to scale your snow business and you've got 8 different styles of invoicing, it's really, really hard to train an admin on, oh, these ones are hourly. Well, this one's not. No, 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 no. That one's not hourly. That's, well, it's kind of hourly. Does this sound familiar to you? Training
I
your
can,
admin.
yeah,
It's kind of
I
out.
can
We
relate to
don't
that one a
do,
lot.
we do hourly plowing, but we charge flat rate for the shoveling. I think less is more, but people do like options. So, and then obviously, yeah, having, is there a spot on site where you can store materials, things like that? And then, of course, thinking about the budget, like if you're going to have to secure, uh, more snow. I love that Brooke just said amen, because me and Brooke had that conversation about 10 different billing styles before. But, when you think about the budget side, is adding that site going to make you have to go buy more equipment that you don't need in the summertime? That's important too. There's so many things we can unpack in this, but we literally don't have enough time to keep going. So,
But yeah, it's a great point. And I would say for anyone that is kind of in that stage where you've built contracts every sort of which way just to generate sales, I know it helps in the short term. As soon as you can, try to consolidate those as much as possible. It'll, save you a ton of time for sure. We see that pretty regularly, but yeah, great call out there. Um, and then just tracking your leads, right? So we were talking about the sales funnel here. Obviously, having a way to like see where those leads are in your funnel, super important. Again, on Element or not. What's your closing rate? Your sales reps. If you've got multiple sales reps, are they closing the big deals and not the little deals, or vice versa, right? Like where do they need coaching? Um, where are you winning deals? Where are you losing deals? At what stage, right? There's so much that you can learn from just your own estimating and quoting, if you have the data, without even going out as to what your competitors are doing. There's so much that you can kind of learn from your own information that having a system like this is super helpful to help you fine tune those details.
so good.
I'm gonna keep this going. We're getting to Q&A time here soon. So we kind of touched on some of this with the educate already a little bit. You had a couple of great points there, Sam. I think what you mentioned kind of resonated with me. It's easy to be a snow and ice professional when it isn't snowing. I think you
Yep.
mentioned that earlier. So as far as like educating, what would you suggest to the people watching, as far as like how can they distinguish themselves from their competitors, maybe especially if they're just starting out, or if they're smaller, they're going up against the Atlases of the world. Like what what can you give advice there for?
Yeah, I think it's important, and this is just something that we'll use. So here's a free low hanging fruit sales tactic that I know Brian is going to steal from me. But just ask the customer if you're pricing against somebody else. I think this is just a solid slam dunk question that has pretty good success rate. But ask the customer, say, hey, if you're undecided, why don't you ask the other person to provide you with 5 like lake reference properties that have a similar spec to you. You're an industrial where you rely on professional service to keep your place running, whether it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whatever it is. Ask the other person that we're bidding against to provide you with 5 like references, and I'm happy to do the same. And when customers see like that you're asking a bold question like that, watch that'll definitely separate yourself. But like I mentioned earlier, the pre and post season photo inspections, like, hey, before the season begins, we send your area manager around, or I myself am going to come. We're going to take photos of anything that could be at fault of the snow contractor, and we'll let them going into it. And here's our prevention plan, the mapping. People love to know, like, how do you monitor the weather? Giving them an equipment list. Like, I think, and Brian had mentioned this even about Atlas. He says, man, people that just might be shopping your website for the first time. He goes, man, you're like a minute into that cover photo on your video. When you show the capacity and the bandwidth of your team. So, snow, I think it's really important. Like, you people want, I think sometimes people want to partner quote unquote the larger service provider because they know that you have resources. And if you're just a person in a truck, like I mentioned earlier, you can make your best customer your worst customer in 15 minutes if the site needs to be done by 7 a.m. and you haven't gotten there yet. But just that, anything you can do to separate yourself. And if you're just trying to build your snow game, then you got to take what you can get just to build that route up, and don't think, I got to go big or go home this year. You got to start somewhere. So
Yeah, and by the way, everybody's got their own strengths in that conversation. If I was Sam, I would have a fleet photo of my yard with 60 trucks and 20 Isuzus and my own salt bunker. And if it was Brian's Law Maintenance, a little bit smaller outfit compared to Atlas, I would say, hey, you get my cell phone number.
yeah,
We're a responsive team. We get to turn on a jet ski. Oh, you don't need those big guys. They never show up anyway. You get lost with them.
that's
And
true.
both are right answers. If I had
Yep.
Sam's sales playbook, I would approach things entirely different. And so, just listening to the customer's needs is where it all stems from. And Sam, you hit so many great points on the head. And again, a lot of the stuff we're trying to model that the big guys are doing too. So transparency 100%. If you have one truck and it's just you, and your truck breaks down, you can say, hey, we're one outfit, but we're looking to get big. We hope to grow with you. And we've got contingencies. That's fine too. Maybe they've been burned by the big guy and they want to go with the little guy. So just tell folks your story. Almost every office manager, guy or girl, doesn't mind supporting a small business, a family business. And by the way, you're a family business if you're Brian's Law Maintenance. You're a family business if you're Atlas, right?
Amen.
So
And this wasn't in the notes, but I'll add this here. If you are just a one truck operation and you're just kind of getting started, it is you will not be judged if you go and become a service partner working for another company like Atlas or like Brian's, because it might be good for you to just learn the ropes on how often to go out, when to go out. Like, so don't think, man, because you could shoot yourself in the foot if you just want to go out and sell yourself 10, 12, 15 new clients and you've only got one truck, one plow, one salter. Because I'm telling you, your buddies in the industry with a plow and a salter, they're not answering your call at 7:30 in the morning when they're done and wrapped up and you need them to come out and bail you out. So it might not be stupid to partner with somebody just to kind of learn the ropes until you can get a second truck that's just a backup truck. And so take that for what it's worth. So
there you go.
Yeah,
All right,
that's a great point. There's no one size fits all when it comes to educating.
amen to that.
And as far as transparency goes, you know, I know like having a customer portal like this where you can actually like show your customers, yes, we were there. They don't have to call you on your cell phone potentially, right? They can see the GPS recording, they can see the pictures, they can see notes if you want them to. Super helpful, especially at the bidding stage when you can present that you have this. It's an option. Same thing with we talk staff training program, right? Um, there's so many different approaches to the educate side. If you're using a platform like Greenius, you've got a great culture. You've got really impressive safety records that you can boast. That's another avenue that you could use as well. So lots of options when it comes to transparency.
Yep.
And then moving along down here to the actual quoting stage. I know you mentioned earlier, Sam, you never really want to build out your quote hoping that it's not going to snow. So,
Yeah.
so what is your approach here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I, we are, and everybody does it differently, but for us, we've got a pretty good running average where we're not afraid to take the risks. So our all-inclusive proposals are just that. Like we insure you unless we got to haul or do something special. The price is what it is, and customers love that. Clearly, I mean, we continue to grow and scale, and snow is our most profitable department. So, having given people multiple options, but not too many options. And again, yeah, the way like the way Jason mentioned it, and I said it earlier, you don't want to, I don't build out your quote to where you don't want it to snow because it's an all inclusive. But I think it's important from a company perspective. This is the reason why you need some form of budgeting software, because like for us, we've got the flat rate seasonal. That's how I know in a season where, hey, we've had those ebb and flow light years, heavy years. We know what we're billing out guaranteed on the first or on the 31st of the month. So that's option one. But option two is, have a little bit of hourly work in there if you can get it. And maybe you don't get that right out of the gate. Most customers don't like hourly, but there are sites out there that prefer to be done by the hour. And then obviously the per service or per event. Literally, that's our three styles of invoicing, and that's it. So we've got some hourly, some per service slash per event, and then the seasonal all inclusive. But like the caps at how many tons you're putting down, stuff like that. That's just another thing you got to monitor. It's another thing you got to admin, and we just haven't done well with it. I'm not knocking on it if that's the way that you operate your business, but I think less is more. Just have a couple different options and double down on them. A couple options and double down on them.
I'm sure it can also depend, it depends on your market, right? Like what's your average, annual snowfall that you expect, right? Obviously the
Absolutely.
further south that you go, the more they're probably going to want something like a per push
Yeah, I
type
guess
contract.
we probably should have specified that, right? It's definitely market inclusive on where you're at. We are in Michigan but yeah, you get into southern Ohio area and some of those parts of Indiana where yeah, people don't like the flat rates the further south you go. So I'm speaking to my Michiganders there. Yeah, New Jersey or somewhere where you get a good amount of snow. But yeah, it's important to know your numbers and create the clarity in the quotes. And I think that was like one of the reasons Element originally got created was to have multiple proposals with the same data that you can use to generate two or three different quotes very, very quickly.
One thing I'll just chime in, and I know we're going to get to time here in a quick second, guys. If you're enjoying this, throw some comments in the chat. We're going to do a Q&A for a quick second here. The biggest thing I would say is, as Sam's talking about all this, is you can tell this has been refined, right? Refined and refined and refined. And so find your 1,000-pound gorilla, in your local market, like Sam alluded to. Hey, what's working? What's not working? I'm fresh. I'm young. I want to get going. I want to be the next big deal. That guy will help you. Not every
Amen.
time, not everybody, but most of the time they will. I can't tell you how many times, and there's big fish that we'll have on this whole webinar all week, where I've asked them a question and they implode my snow business. I put Humpty Dumpty back together. I ask them one more question, they implode another part of my business. And I'm done asking questions. No, I'm just kidding. But it's one of those deals where we're continually putting Humpty Dumpty together, and we've got a good proof of concept. And our business is up 30 to 50% in snow, and it's phenomenal. So just keep refining it season over season. What worked, what didn't work, begin with the end in mind. So great points there, Sam. Yeah. All right, let's go.
Um, yeah, so just a second last point here, this super important one, obviously, when it comes to liability. If you can sum this up, quick, how do you protect yourselves? What are you putting in the terms there? How are you protecting for slip and falls, things of that nature?
That's great. I'll tell you right now, everything changes in how you write your contracts and the way you set up your insurance when you've been on the other side of a deposition. And I will say this as somebody who's been there before, it is one of the worst experiences of my life. Less is more. And what I mean by less is more is when you write too much verbiage in that service line. One of my favorites, because we deal snow and ice contractors. I didn't use professionals there because this is something where I think you can become a professional once you learn a thing or two. But we have this habit of writing rock salt application or de-icing application at the discretion of the contractor. The reason that verbiage got created is because we got tired of customers getting a bill saying, oh, I didn't want salt. I wanted to call you for that. So our way of educating them is putting that line on the service line. Guess what happens when you're on the other side of a deposition and it says at the discretion of the snow and ice contractor? Who's the snow and ice contractor? Me. If there was slippery, clearly it was slippery because Mrs. Jones fell and cracked the back of her head open. It is an open and shut case. Less is more. The more and more verbiage you put on those lines, the more and more you're getting in trouble with stuff. But this simple stuff like documenting everything, keeping those photos, keeping those timestamps, keeping those logs,
For years.
and just yeah, for years. Like I know we put in the note, 2+ years, but I'm telling you that stuff can come back and bite you in the butt later on. But just knowing. Just a really, really quick story. We had a condo association that was a snow plowing, and it was a rock salt the entrance and intersections only. We're not liable if somebody slips and falls in there, right? Sure. I mean, no, we're clearly it's only, yeah, until somebody falls at their mailbox. And it doesn't matter if you hold the contract, you're going to do a deposition, you're going to get a call. And even if it doesn't directly, you can fight it till you're blue in the face. Your insurance company is going to end up settling because it's not worth their time. So ultimately, you are responsible for it. So even if they don't take salt, it doesn't matter. You better get a form signed that says, "Hey, I Brian Fullerton, Brian's Lawn Maintenance, am completely held harmless." And a lot of times customers won't even sign that. So that gets you, that saves you right there from even signing on those contracts that really could just be a problem in the long run. So just be really, really, we could do a whole episode on the liability stuff here. This can get deep. So
Yeah,
For
great
sure. I was
advice.
gonna go
Yeah, I
ahead,
was just
Jason.
gonna
Yeah.
say, like, speak to a lawyer if you're not sure. Like, just make sure that you're covered.
Sam, you ever notice right around town on the highways what's been popping up? All the slip and fall signs,
oh
right
dude,
on cue,
I
right on
know.
cue. Don't even get
Yep.
me going. Right on
Yep.
cue. Ask folks, ask questions from the 1,000 pound gorilla in your market. Ask chat, ask Snow, coaches and trainers that speak at SIMA, etc. None of this is legal advice. Blah blah blah. I got to put that in there. But for the love of God, if you're going to be a professional, have professional agreements and contracts. Do your due diligence. Set yourself up for success. Great suggestions there, Sam. We'll have to have an encore on a liability webinar one day
Sure.
and all that. All right, Jason, back to you, brother.
I was just gonna, and save your records, because people will bank on you not keeping records for 2+ years. So super important. All right, last part. It's the last part, and like you said earlier, Sam, the most challenging part, obviously executing. So as far as executing the work successfully, obviously we've got more topics on this for this week as part of this series. But having processes in place when it comes to dispatch, the right technology, the right equipment that you're using on the site, super important, obviously, as far as making sure that you're not just executing the work, but to the specifications of the contract, and doing so efficiently.
Yeah,
Anything
don't
that
don't don't wait till the don't wait till the forest is on fire to change the batteries in the smoke detector. Like, start working on that stuff now. So really, really knowing, how much equipment you're going to need, the technology side of it, all that. You should be working on that stuff right now. Like if you wait till you get the first snow to go, oh my goodness, I needed 2 more salt spreaders because I oversold myself, then clearly, the customers will usually be forgiving the first snowfall, but on the second one, you better have it dialed in by that point. So I always love, don't wait till the house is on fire to change the batteries in the smoke detector. Start working on that stuff right now.
start that greeniest training now? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, I know we're getting close to time here. Sam, want to give you an opportunity to share your information here about, for the coaching. I'll let you jump in there.
Yeah, super easy. Obviously, I'm a firm believer that, when we as leaders get better, we all get to move forward together. That's kind of my culture proof model there. And so yeah, if I can ever help with any of the stuff that we talked about today, hit me up at samgembel.com. My blog got the podcast on there. It's truly an honor to get to give back because I've made just about every mistake I can think of. I like to say I've got a bachelor's in pain and a master's in suffering, and I ain't trying to get a PhD on what comes next. So
Awesome. And then as far as Q&A, like I know we're short on time, but there's a theme around like, hey, I'm at 20K revenue, or I'm at 5K, I'm at 50K, and I want to take it to the next level. What do you suggest? That's kind of seems to be a common theme in the questions. Anything that you guys
yeah,
would suggest for growing companies?
I'll start it and I'll just say again, coming back to knowing what a truck, I think it's so simple, or it seems so simple, but knowing what a truck with the plow, a truck with the salter, knowing what it can produce, I think you need to start with that because, before you figure out what you want to get into, like I know we didn't get a chance to talk too much on equipment, but, kind of like where Atlas is at the point right now, like we view our service partner relationships like there are our regular team members. So knowing like the equipment we're going to purchase, the last thing we want is to have stuff that's going to sit for 8 to 9 months out of the year. So knowing, how much work do you need for the equipment that you already have? And then if you're going to have to buy to scale, it's important to know, what that looks like. So obviously I think everybody is on this call because they want to grow. I would ask yourself, why do you want to grow, and how much pain are you willing to endure to get there?
That's great. One of the last things, if you are an Element customer and you're watching this, you want to know more about how to use Element for your snow operations, whether it's bidding or operations like scheduling, as an example, setting up a digital snow binder. Check out our community events. Shout out to Stephen and the CS team there. Scan the QR code to register for these events coming up quick, November 4th and November 5th next week. Brian, over to you.
Yeah, brother. Well, you guys did a phenomenal job. We're right at time. I know everybody's got a busy schedule this week. A lot of folks wrapping up final mows this week, next week, and the week after. Thanksgiving's right ahead of us. Everybody's getting ready for snow as usual. So a lot of spinning plates this time of year. Absolutely appreciate you guys hopping on in. Honored to host with you guys. Did Sam and Jason not do a great job? Can you guys throw a quick comment in the chat? Just say thank you, thank you, thank you to these guys. I know if you guys are anything like me when you do a webinar or a speech, you're having a pool of sweat after. Just the nerves are finally done, and Sam's probably gonna go take a nap after he gets all of his snow contracts back today, right, Sam? So there you go. Thank you to the Element and Grandam team as well. Folks, there's so many questions that came on in. If you got questions on the software, the platform, greenness, etc., reach out to somebody. Everybody's here to help you guys out with all the above. But let's strike while the iron's hot. Take those notes, keep dialing in your agreements. Hey, the other ones, we've already sent them out. That ship has sailed. But anything that you got going out after this, let's keep taking the notes we learned today and applying it to those future agreements and keep dialing that in and refining year over year. So that's what we got. Come back for tomorrow, day 2. We've got people, plan, and training. Danny and Matt are going to be leading off with that. We'll be back here, same time, same place. I believe same login for the webinar, which is exciting. And we'll run hard again tomorrow for another hour. So guys, we don't take it for granted that you're spending a lot of your afternoons with us this week. You could be doing anything in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. So without further ado, guys, we'll land the plane right here. Love you guys. Have a great rest of the night, and we'll look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one. See you guys.
Thanks, everyone.